Hello and welcome back to the Boomer Black Sheep channel. This presentation is a follow-up to my discussion with William Ramsey on the William Ramsey Investigates podcast, recorded on December the 4th, 2024. One of the topics we covered was the use of doubles, and my experience when I posted images on Facebook Paul is Dead groups that contained photographic evidence of the use of Paul McCartney doubles, which isn't best described in an audio format. Hence this follow-up presentation to the podcast, which is intended to expand upon the use of Paul McCartney doubles and the alleged Paul is Dead 1966 timeline, using official photographs and screenshots from Beatle performances, both live and promotional footage. Mainstream Beatle fans, of course, require no evidence to prove that who they believe to be Paul McCartney crossed over the alleged Paul is Dead conspiracy, September 1966 death date, but devotees of the orthodox Paul is Dead theory do. As such, this is also an update to my previous Not Every Paul is Dead presentation, and we'll be taking a look at the which Paul McCartney is dead question. I'll put the link for the William Ramsey Investigates podcast in the description box for this video. On my Facebook Paul is Dead group journey, I have seen unwavering devotion in the comments sections under pre-September 1966 images of Paul McCartney, which confess undying love and a promise to fight for justice for him. That's because, as a whole, PID folk believe the original Paul McCartney is dead, having died in September 1966 or thereabouts, a belief which most definitely is outside the norms of mainstream society, and one which the majority of Beatle fans do not share. Although orthodox Paul is Dead devotees do share something in common with the mainstream Beatles fans, inasmuch as the majority wholeheartedly believe the official Beatles narrative, which tells the rags to riches story of four highly talented, working-class lads from Liverpool who played on every major stage and show in showbiz, and within the space of 3 years rose to worldwide fame by the Royal Command performance, to the Ed Sullivan Show, and to Buckingham Palace through sheer hard work and a bit of help from their manager and record producer. The majority of Paul is Dead followers believe that the Paul McCartney, who said he was no longer working with the group on the 10th of April 1970, was an imposter who replaced the original Paul who died in 1966. Put simply, orthodox Paul is Dead believers don't believe it's their real paperback writer Paul McCartney on the iconic Sgt. Pepper album cover, which is the cornerstone of the Paul is Dead conspiracy. I have to say, even with the visual distraction of the moustache, the difference between the two Pauls is plain to see. So it's not surprising that rumours and theories about doubles and imposters started circulating. But does it necessarily mean that paperback writer Paul is dead? Well, it does apparently if you believe there was only one real Paul and only one imposter called Billy or Fool or whatever PID name is used to describe the replacement. This is the orthodox Paul is Dead theory. Yet there are other theories involving Paul McCartney besides the orthodox one, which do not necessarily involve Paul McCartney being dead, or only being one of him, or only being one Billy, or even one John, George, or Ringo. Yes, the Beatles and PID rabbit hole is very convoluted, and it is partly the reason why there is so much division and animosity between the different Paul is Dead Facebook groups and PID YouTube gurus. I should mention that orthodox PID folk do concede that stunt doubles were used in the skiing scenes in the group's second movie, Help. Ski instructor Herbert Lurzer stood in for Paul McCartney. And also that decoys were deployed at Beatles concerts to enable the group to escape the crowds of hysterical girls, hell-bent on ripping the Fab Four's clothes off and worse. Keen-eyed PID folk who have seen the umpteen Paul versus Billy comparisons will notice that this is Billy here and not Paul, hence the inverted commas above the name Paul McCartney. But stunt doubles and decoys are one thing, but actual doubles are another. Let's go back to that montage of various pre-1966 Paul photos. We'll ignore the photos that feature a big smooth round chin, and also those photos of Paul that features a cleft on the chin. Let's choose one photo that has neither the smooth symmetrical, rather large chin, nor the cleft chin. This is the Paul I was talking about with William Ramsey on his Investigates podcast. We've seen this particular Paul before. He has an asymmetrical chin. It's not evenly round like the Paul in the top corner. The right side protrudes further than the left, as though the left has some flesh missing. And it doesn't have a cleft like the Paul in the lower corner of this montage. As previously identified, this Paul was the first to appear on a British national newspaper in November 1963. Now, why the Daily Mirror would add a scar to Paul's chin, as some have suggested, despite there being no Photoshop back then, is a mystery to me, and I fail to understand any logical, plausible reason for doing so, but such is conspiratorial thinking. But I'll let the viewer decide and leave the Daily Mirror's web address in this slide as a source reference. Here's another where I have shown its source. The photo showing the scar on the underside of Paul's lopsided chin is taken from the January 1964 edition of the Beatles' official fanzine. This slide shows the front cover and facing page where the photo appeared. This is a screenshot of footage of the Beatles' American debut on the 1964 Ed Sullivan Show, of Paul performing I Want to Hold Your Hand. And there's the scar under the chin again, clearly visible just left of centre. These 1965 era screenshots are taken from iconic television promotional videos, where the Beatles were miming to a backing track. The horizontal scar on the chin showing clearly in the studio lighting. Moving on to June 1966 and the Beatles' German Bravo Blitz tournée. The scar showing slightly to the left as usual, in between the top and underside of the chin. Note the Ed Sullivan 1964 slides and the German tour photo are taken from live performances and not publicity shots or TV shows where the Beatles have been miming. Now then, this is when things start to get interesting. The scar on the chin crosses the September 1966 timeline, the alleged death date of the one true Paul. According to Orthodox Paul is Dead folk, Billy married Linda Eastman, and Paul is long since dead by this time. But what do we see slightly left of centre on the chin? Yes, it's that scar again. Obviously it's faded with the passing of time, but it's still visible to eyes that can see. I didn't include this photo in my first video on this subject, because like most others I overlooked it. My brain telling me it's Billy. But then I didn't see the scar on Paul's chin on the front page of the Daily Mirror until it was pointed out to me. And here's another photo with Linda, and for comparison a 1963 photo of Beatle Paul wearing the Pierre Cardin Beatles jacket. It's very much a continuing story. In 1999, chin scar Paul McCartney was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Here he is with his daughter Stella, who is showing support for her father at the event. And yes, the horizontal scar is there also. And finally, here he is with Heather Mills in 2001, complete with a horizontal, slightly left to centre scar on his chin, speaking with another spectator at the American League Championship Series with his then girlfriend, whom he married in June 2002. As we know, the couple later divorced in 2008. As you can see, my PID journey has had some unexpected surprises. But once you've seen a thing, it's impossible to unsee it. And once you know what to look for, it becomes easier to find it. It takes time, objectivity, and an open mind that is capable of looking beyond the herd mentality and the gatekeepers. Paul is dead? Justice for Paul McCartney? Well, which one? It doesn't look like it's the one with the horizontal scar on the left side of his chin. But there are other varieties to choose from. The one with the cleft chin, and the one with the smooth round chin for starters. Other topics discussed in the second half of the William Ramsey Investigates podcast included the likes of Clement Freud, Jimmy Savile, Tom Dryberg, Aleister Crowley, and the Profumo affair, among others. I hope people will support William by paying his channel a visit. My thanks to him and to his listeners who have since subscribed to Boomer Black Sheep. Thanks also to my existing subscribers for all their support and encouragement. I really appreciate it.